AK art style is just peak. Wait, yeah, it is. None of the characters in Endfield feel empty. But it's strange when you all say that AK characters don't feel empty, because a good number of you might not even read the story of AK. And yet you feel for certain characters here, but you don't even like read a story about them. I feel like the reason why Endfield Characters feels even more soulless is because you've read the story. And if the story doesn't do justice to the character, you will think the character is soulless. In AK, you don't have to feel that way about any character that you consider your favorite or like people that you like, because you attach yourself to the character based on like what you feel of them when you see their art, not so much because you've read a story that contains them. Sometimes you might have, which maybe amplifies it more for you, but I think for a lot of people you don't. Like when I see people telling me that they're a Chen fan, and then I'm like, oh, why are you a Chen fan? Oh, she just might think she looks good. And then I'm like, have you read the story? And they're like, no. I'm just there like, you're just imaging someone then. Like why do AK characters feel like they have more story? Or like more soul than Endfield characters does? You think reconveners are gonna make money in Endfield? I think equally, whether it's a reconvener or not. You think voice lines are important? I don't see how Endfield voice lines are that different from AK. I like Narantia. Have I read the story? No, exactly. Like, I'm also imaging. Like, that's what I realize. Like, why AK feels good of a game. And, like, in the case of Endfield, you don't image. You find out in the process. Compare Narantia's voice line with your favorite Endfield characters. But if Narantia was in Endfield, I would have loved her. You could also argue it as you just don't have a character that you like yet in Endfield. Because there are some people that aren't that strongly attached to the year 1 characters of AK as well, and it's only like later on that they actually find someone. So Arknights is good only because you imagine it's good? No, we're talking about the characters. I don't know how you generalize my statement that badly. As in, you might end up liking AK characters more because you're not forced to create an emotional connection to them. You are allowed to, in the moment, feel what you want for them until you've read their story. Character designs help a lot? Yeah, it does. Maybe I should video essay this not in terms of like AK. I could even say this in terms of the other gacha games. No, but the big gacha game that I would have named would have been ZZ. I don't think I would have mentioned HSR or Genshin if I made a video about this. Because I think ZZ is a very good example of who cares what the design is, the characters just seem so fun. But Endfield design, uncle, can you compare Endfield 3D model to the 2D splash art? I could. Yeah, I don't disagree. Like, when you take a look at the 2D art of the various Endfield characters, it really isn't that bad. It's very AK. It's almost like you guys are not used to the 3D view of the character. Maybe that's why you're too attached to Programishnik. Actually, not wrong. We've not seen Programishnik in the story. We've not seen Alash in the story. We've not seen Avwina as much in the story. Well, she had one quest. Because, like, you've interacted with the character. Right? So, like, for example, Chen. There's a reason why Chen is a very debated character. Where people either really love her, or you have people who just don't like her. And this is made really possible, not in the form that people are discussing the design of the character. People are saying, I don't like her personality, or I like her personality. But you gotta realize that we don't say that in AK. We don't go saying, oh, I love this character because it's a fun personality. Again, I'm speaking more in terms of people who don't read the story. But like when you talk about the soul of characters, the only character that I think is the most fleshed, I can't say it's Chen. I won't say it's Chen, sorry, because that's how someone in the game says it. Was it Tang Tang that calls her Chen? I think Tang Tang's just the most fleshed character now in the game. Levity? No, Levity's not flesh. Levity's not flesh because you still don't understand her as a person when you finish the story. Is Yvonne a flesh character? No, because it doesn't go that deep. I think a reason why certain characters in the game can be so liked is because they're so sophisticated. Like, there's a reason why a lot of people like Adesha more than a lot of the other characters in Endfield. Because Adesha feels like a character that has a lot to know about. But like in the case of Yvonne, it almost feels done. You don't think they are soulless? I don't think they're soulless. But you could say that's not enough. Yvonne showed us the plot, yet she showed nothing about herself. I would say it's nothing. It's just more like when you find out what she is, like I said, like it doesn't go that far. It doesn't go that deep. Did I play through a story? Yeah, I did. Like if you oh no, but if you say read through a files, no. But if you take a look at like Tang Tang's not done with her story. Like Tang Tang's very interesting. One, you realize that she's adopted, right? And then that gets you've already felt emotional with her through the story as you get it through, you know, the whole conflict with her brother and stuff. But then later you start to like learn that there's a lot of things actually going on for her. You know, she's an adopted person, but yet she became a leader of the clan, which goes to say that the clan trusts her a lot, and you know, she's technically a very young person, but yet she's allowed to be in that position, which makes it very cool that she's able to do that. But there comes the interesting thing of like, okay, then what about her past? What about her background? Like, so how far back does it go? You don't think they'll expand on Tang Tang's story? I agree, I don't think they will expand on Tang Tang's story anytime soon, but it's good. At least you feel like there's more. Like, AK characters have also appeared in other stories, right? Think about Texas, think about Lapland. Like, for those of you who's maybe followed through with AK story, AK characters, some of them don't feel like their story will end. Some of them feel like they will bring you on an adventure. It's just a matter of when, later in the game. So like in the case of Tang Tang, I feel like if she reappears in a story in the future, it doesn't feel like it's for the sake of character filler. Because you see, Chen kind of feels that way. Right? Chen's like a character filler to fill your time while you play Endfield. But Tang Tang doesn't. So what happens is she's too smart to so hard for her to work with people because they can't keep up with her, so she decided to leave Endfield. But everyone missed the place. Yeah, I know all that. But like, that's it. It sounds rude to say that's it, okay? I'm not saying I'm an emotionless person and I don't think like, oh, something like this is, you know, not like something that you empathize for. Like, it feels relatable. There are people who I've met that are quite like Yvonne. But the thing is, it's like, that's the most you're going to learn about her. If Yvonne appears in a future story, it starts to become a character filler. Because there's nothing else to know about her. You see the trouble? They're probably going to expand on the story in the future. No, but that's just a prediction. Based on how she's written, I don't think they will. She's not written as a character that feels like she will be expanded upon. It happens. There are just characters in the game, in any game, that feels like they will not appear. So to me, Yvonne is one of them. She will still appear in the story, that's for sure. Like, when the main story continues, and then there's things like, oh, we need some support from Enfield. Yvonne's gonna be like, hey Enmin, you need my help? That kind of thing. That's not substance. She's existing to exist. You know what I mean? There's no hidden thing about Yvonne. So, I think that makes the word substance or like soulless, the soul of a character very interesting. Because this doesn't mean that a character doesn't have personality or doesn't have a good backstory. I don't think it means the same thing. When you do a game and you're doing story design, you want to make sure that your character feels like they always have something going for it every step of the way. That there's new things to learn. Think about Amiya in AK. Amiya is really, really deep as a character. You realize that she's not just a leader as time goes on, right? At every step of the time, you start to say like, wait, what's her origin? What's her background? What's her purpose actually? Who is she? You start asking all these things. So perhaps maybe what I'm talking about is more so like the soul of the story writing. Amiya's a special case. No, but Amiya can be that, right? No, but the thing is, Perlika doesn't feel like that. That's the off part. Perlika doesn't feel like an imitation of Amiya yet at the current point of this game. She definitely feels more like in the assistant role, which is pretty different from how Amiya is. Maybe it is too early. We could say that it's too early because AK, well, if I just say that I like the very, very starting chapters of AK, yeah, I agree. You might feel that there is nothing going for the characters. No, but the thing is, that's why I'm saying there's a fundamental difference between AK and Enfield. Because when it comes to AK, you don't read the story. It just so happens that because it's a visual novel game, there's just a lot of people who don't interact with the story. So when you don't interact with the story, you make up what you think of the character, just purely based off of design and like the voice line that you hear in the game. You don't need to know who they are. But in the case of Enfield, what I'm basically sort of arguing is that your perception of the character is not made or conjured by you. You have been solidified of their character because you are sitting through the story experience. For some people, they might say that a character like Tang Tang, they just want Tang Tang to be like a fun person. outgoing, want to hang with you and everything. And to some people, that's more than enough. But then, there is a little part of me that may say that for some people, maybe the whole emotional side of Tang Tang isn't what they want. So it starts to like shift away from what they image of Tang Tang. And then that may alter how much they actually end up liking her, whether for better or worse. So, yeah. Does a character's appearance need to be not filler? No. I think characters in the game can be filler characters. I think the problem that Endfield has is, does that not feel like every character? Who's really a main here? Who's really someone that makes you go like, come on, deep dive for me, what this character story is? Like, if I were to say the answer, I don't think it's Enmin. I think it's Adesha. Even AK has filler characters. Yeah. Dapan is a very filler character. Is Rossi a filler character? Not entirely yet. The danger for Rossi, I feel, is that that's why I'm quite surprised that this was the approach that Endfield took, that they released a sibling straight off the bat. Well, ZZ released a sibling as well, the sibling being the main cast. But AK didn't release with siblings at the start. We did get siblings in AK. Oh no, we got Hibiscus and Lava in AK. Ham and Silver Ash as well. No, but Yerek's story didn't happen that soon. And Cliffheart, right. Yerek was not touched on until like 3 years in the game. But there's a difference between Rossi and Wolfguard and Silver Ash, Premonix, and Cliffheart. At least for right now, they look like healthy, good siblings. So it makes you feel like there wouldn't be as much conflict as certain siblings that you see in other games. But in the case of this, I wouldn't say it's all that bad. I do think that it's not so much about their sibling relation that they're going to explore on when it comes to Rossi and Wolfguard. The thing that they want to explore on is the pact, which the pact is almost like a concept similar to something that happens in AK. So in that sense, that's very interesting, setting up for Rossi. But if you take a look at like the Silver Ash family, yeah, that one's full of conflict. We already doomed siblings. Well, dooming siblings is fine for the sake of a storyline. Adelia is a filler character. Yeah, Adelia pains me. Like, if anything, I'm sort of more pissed with the reconveners in this game than I am when they were in AK, because you don't know them at the same level. Like, I haven't even read So Long Adele. I'm sure So Long Adele is like a 100 times better experience than meeting Adelia for the first time here. So it's a huge issue that Endfield just has, which I guess comes back to the main point that of why we're talking about this, that they're Soulless. So Long Adele, she was the main character. I mean, here's another way to put it. Endfield only has 26 characters right now. Or is it 25? 25 characters, including Rossi. Can't they main story everyone? There's less characters to write for. They can give everyone good screen time, but they don't. Like, I find it strange that I feel that the story writing of Endfield is weaker than AK, considering how AK has way more characters. Like, that makes me question. It doesn't sound intuitive to me, because AK has so many characters to write for, but I feel really good about the writing that AK has, in terms of how they develop a character, and Endfield has less. When Endfield has less, doesn't that make for Endfield to do good? You feel like I know too much about AK and that damaged my Endfield experience. Well, a lot of people don't like that I brought up AK in my Endfield review videos from time to time. But my simple reply is it my fault that Hyperglyph put AK in their game title? I think this comes with the conversation of like Honkai Impact and HSR. It's like, you put AK in the title, what? My fault to expect an AK experience, man. That's why whenever people complain like, oh bro, you're talking too much about AK. You know, why you bring up AK? Why you bring up AK game modes? Like, I don't know, you ask yourself why I bring up AK game modes. Like, is that not, like, rather I talk about Genshin Impact? You want me to compare to Genshin Impact when I make my reviews? You want me to compare to what, Wuthering Waves? Like, that's not it, what? They're not the same devs. Do I have the same expectations? No, because their ideation, their design flow is different. But when you say AK, made by the same company for Endfield, like, of course I'm talking about AK. You feel like they're not trying to expand the lore because AK is still going. No, AK will be going for pretty much forever. But yeah, I think this is a conversation that I'll have when it comes to, yeah, the characters of this game. Maybe I'll make whatever I say into a video. It's good though. Thanks for whoever who triggered this question. It's a very interesting topic to have. Oh yeah, when you all say that some of the characters in AK don't even have a main story, that's true. But are they fun characters to know? Hell yes. Like, even when I read some of the filler stories, where it only features a character for a short time, like Flamebringer's interaction with perfumer as a gardener, or like you getting to see the dynamic between Leonhard and Eoskar, or you getting to see Meteorite getting pissed at Surtur when they hung out together in Rewinding Grease. Like, sure, they're not a main character. Sure, you don't have to know much about them. But are they good filler characters? Yes, they are really good filler characters. Because some of them are funny, some of them are silly. Some of them don't give a shit about what's going on. Like, when I read Catapult in the story, does Catapult have a main story? Does Embro have a main story? No. But their nonchalance, I think that's the word. Does that I don't give a shit side of them make it very interesting to know about them? Kinda, yeah. But like in the case of this, I don't get that here. Like, yeah, some of these characters I don't think will ever get expanded on. But it annoys me. It annoys me, like, for instance, with the case of Adelia. Like, my perception of Adelia at the end of Endfield, right, like, at where we are right now, is she's just a mediator. As in, she's just there to handle people's smallest problems. That's so insignificant. That's what she's reduced to. She's a therapist. If she's gone from the outpost, the whole story wouldn't change. Yeah, exactly. It could have just been you mediating. Why does Adelia need to be there? It's a bit similar to Gilberta. Like, of all the character stories, I find Gilberta's sort of weak. Because it's like, the selling point of her story is the message about, like, being able to send the words that you want to people. Like, I don't know. I just think she's just like a person who works. That's all I see her as. She's a regular human being with a regular job. That's about it. Which is also the reason why I don't like Angelina. I know that there are Angelina fans in AK. Like, even before Enfield, I was not a fan of Angelina. Because that's what I saw her as. Like, Angelina is just a humble worker. Which, there's nothing wrong with being a plain Jane. It's just, it wouldn't make for the most interesting stories. Yes, of course, a regular worker can be very, very cute characters. I do not deny she has a very cute design. But as a whole for a character, she's not a character that I get very fascinated about. So it feels like the same thing has occurred here when they brought Gilberta into Enfield. It's like, it's the same thing. It's just a character that works. So I want a crazy one? Like a crazier character? Well, if you think about all the other games and who have big fandoms, the crazier ones tend to have bigger fandoms, no? The crazier, hyper ones tends to have more fandoms. Think Sparksy, think Sparkle, right? Or think about... I don't remember the name of a lot of the ZZ characters, but ZZ has some characters that are like that. In CBT1, Gilberta saved Endmin and she went out of control with her power. It would have been good to show. But yeah, they didn't really show that in CBT2. Which was... Sorry, not CBT2. In the main game now. Oh yeah, Miyabi also is the character that people like. Yeah. W is popular not because she's crazy. Yeah, no, W is popular because, one, for her design, but two, if you read the story, you start to realize she's a little bit multi-layered of a character that makes it very fun. She's gone through a lot. I mean, I feel like some of the things that I'm saying will affect some of you, especially if you're a big lover of Enfield. I am a big lover of Enfield myself. But like I'm also trying to reason why, instead of saying I should defend Enfield, the way I see me having this conversation is I'm trying to reason why people don't like Enfield to begin with. If I want to compare, how about the characters in Valorant? As in what? Characters of Enfield versus the characters of Valorant? I think Valorant characters feels very similar to AK. Most people who play Valorant do not know the story or the lore of the character. They barely interact with that. So, one, the imaging thing happens. You ask a Viper cosplayer or a Viper lover from Valorant, like, hey, why do you like the character? Oh, I just love her design. It ends there. And when you think about Viper's design, as in Viper from Valorant, for those of you wondering, if you think about Viper's design, it's like, whoa, Mask Girl, she's really cool. You know, she's got a good suit, she looks like an agent and everything. You start imaging everything about this character, of like what you think of them. And so you use that as your judgment of like why you like them. Now Valorant has a character that's making the waves, right? The newest Valorant character that's mixed. Like, people just think, hey, he looks like a cute looking guy. He looks like a fun one. He's wearing a hoodie that has this interesting stuff. Like, you don't need to know who he is. You just look at it and be like, oh damn, I think this character, I like him. Next, look as. You can think of Reyna, you know, or who else is there that people like in the game. Who's the most recent person that people like from Val? It's been a while. Cypher? People like Cypher as well. Timber, some people like. But you see, all these, like, you don't even need to know the character story. And if you do know the character story, will I say that Valorant gives more fun when interacting the story? I'd say, yeah, it does. The advantage that Valorant has is that they don't need to give you a manga, they don't need to give you a full-fledged story. It's like they drip feed for you the character story in the form of the videos that they make, in the form of the graphics, you know, the promotional posters they make of how the characters interact with each other. You use that as your judgment of the character. And because it's not full, it feels like it's a tickling experience, you know. It's like you get a sense of who they are. And that's enough to keep you engaged with the character. So what I'm trying to say here is that when you have a game like this, and the whole game's premise is the ability to give you a very full story of a character, it's a powerful medium. In fact, I think it's the most powerful medium. Like Endfield being a 3D game, being able to present stories in 3D, perhaps is the strongest way for people to love someone in the game, to want to be as involved with any new story that comes in the game. But that comes with the problem that they didn't use this medium well at the current point of the game. So hopefully you all understand this conversation that we're having.